David Moyes seems to want to go into this season sort of commando, if you like. He wants to go strikerless. And I guess in many respects, who are we to argue on that? Let me just quantify that. I don't think he wants to go in strikerless. I think he wants to... The strikers that he likes, the strikers that he's identified, the strikers that he feels that would work within the parameters of his system are not available. He's not been able to buy them. And he's shown himself to be a manager who's not prepared to go to that next rung down, that next level down. He's not interested. So I think that he's thought, do you know what? If I can't find somebody that can do what Mikel Antonio does, I'll make another Mikel Antonio, just like I turned an Arnautovic from a wide player into a centre forward, like I've done with Antonio, wide player into a centre forward. Aaron Cresswell becomes a centre back, that sort of thing. I think David Moyes is confident with his own ability. If he can't find a striker that has all the attributes that he wants in a forward, well, you know what? He'll just take another player who's got those attributes and make him play as a forward, or certainly dovetail around and play in different areas of the pitch. I mean, when I say who am I to argue, it seems like a funny old strategy, but he's earned credit in the bank, and also he's got a track record of doing it. So I'm not worried about it at all. I think we should go and buy strikers, but I don't know more about football than David Moyes. Let's get that straight. If I did, well, I probably wouldn't be sat in a shed. I'd probably be doing the job that he did at the Euros, where UEFA paid him money to assess every game and deliver a dossier back to UEFA for them to study and analyse what had gone on. In fact, I think my dossier, if I'd have worked for UEFA and they'd have paid me, they're very welcome to, by the way, my dossier would have been quite different. I probably would have handed it to them. They probably would have said, "Hey, Gonzo, this dossier on the match, why has everybody got a rude nickname? What's the relevance of Pringles? And there just weren't any Dembélés playing, so I don't know why you're mentioning it." That would have been my dossier. I'm quite sure that David Moyes' dossier is a little bit more involved and certainly has a lot more detail about it and shows a nuance for tactics, which is what I think is playing into what he's looking to do now. And with this, I want to really look at the players that he's looking to bring in, because as I look, I'm just scrolling down the screen now, you're looking at Vlasic. Looks like he's coming in. Looks like the deal's done. Possibly by the time I upload this video, he may well be a West Ham player. So I'm going to discuss him as if he is. And the other rumour that looks like it's doing the rounds is that Jesse Lingard is coming back. And before I go any further, this video, as always, is sponsored by the One Football app. I say as always, not always. This video is sponsored by the One Football app. If you want to find out what's happening with the Vlasic transfer, what's happening with Jesse Lingard, you just want the West Ham news, click the link below, download the app to your phone. It's free. And what you can do is you can aggregate all of the West Ham news just into one place. And when anything happens, you'll get a little beep on your phone. And this is on silent. If your phone's on silent, there's no beep. And it will tell you what's happened. It just keeps you up to date with all the West Ham news without you having to go and search it here, there, and everywhere. That's the One Football app. The link is below. If you don't like it, you can just delete it. Well, on the One Football app is this Jesse Lingard thing. So Jesse Lingard coming back. And from the outset, you think, well, hold on a second. Why are we getting this Vlasic who looks... He's like an attacking midfielder. And Lingard, bearing in mind who you got. But I understand there's method. There's method in the madness. And here's why I think so. Because of this whole striker situation. And then I looked at Vlasic's qualities. And I thought, oh, as soon as I saw him play, and every time I see him play, actually when you look at it, you think, actually he reminds me a little bit of Ben Rama. No room for two Ben Ramas. Nonsense. Look, if you can have 20 Dembélés, you can have two Ben Ramas. And I thought, actually, he's taking up a lot of the positions and doing a lot of the things that he would do. He's doing a lot of things that Lingard would do. So no need for Lingard, right? I'm not so sure. I think there's a fluidity to the way we're playing. I don't want to hark back to the Crystal Palace game too much, because I've got to say, sometimes you've got to give people credit. The lad Gallagher scored a wonderful, wonderful goal. The second goal was particularly good. I know Dawson's going to get his share of the blame for that, but you know what? We're doing something about that. I just think it was a good goal. Sometimes you have to credit the player, and I thought the player's very, very good. But when we were near the end of that game, we couldn't impact it with attacking substitutions. And it doesn't really matter whether you think someone's a forward, whether you think someone's a winger, whether they're attacking midfielder. Why do we want a striker? We want a striker who's going to score lots of goals. Well, does it matter if it's not the striker that scores lots of goals? As long as you get the lots of goals, that's the main thing, right? And when I looked at Vlasic, I thought he reminded me of someone else. Kevin Morales, right? Kevin Morales at Everton. Now, the Morales thing is, I've got his name right, haven't I? Played for Belgium, very, very good player, winger. In fact, if I remember rightly, West Ham tried to buy this player. But we tried to buy him at the wrong time. We tried to buy him possibly when he was 28, and he'd done all his good work already at Everton. It was Moyes had unearthed him, Moyes had found him, and I thought he was a remarkable player. I remember him playing really well against West Ham, actually, in one particular game. Great player. When I looked at this Vlasic, I thought, well, he reminds me a lot of him. Cuts inside, shoots, finishes well. A workaholic as well, by the way, which is probably, worth pointing out. And I started looking at it, I think, well, actually, he seems to work as hard as Bowen, and he's got attributes that you would perhaps attribute to Benrahma. Likes to cut in the way Benrahma does and curl that ball in sort of top right-hand corner. But it's not as if... I've already heard the argument, why get him if we've already got Benrahma? Well, because it looks like if we don't have a forward, Moyes may well play at least 3 of these kind of players in each game. I mean, he really will. Imagine if Antonio is not playing, for instance, he's, fingers crossed, touch wood, it doesn't happen, he gets injured. You can imagine a situation where Bowen is playing up front and 2 more attackers either side of him in the wide positions would possibly be Benrahma and Vlasic. Then someone's still got to play in the hole. Possibly Fornals, but what if it's not? There's room for Lingard in there. This is the formation, this is the system in which he's playing. I don't think he has spoken, Moyes has spoken about Yarmolenko. I'm far from convinced that Yarmolenko is going to feature a lot. Has time run out for Yarmolenko to go? I think it almost would be silly to let him go at this point. But anything could happen with the transfer window. I'm even mindful, as I record this video now, I'm even mindful something might have happened by the time I finish recording the video. So I've not ruled out Yarmolenko going at all, but I think it might leave us a little shy in terms of numbers, unless there's someone else coming in. But as you know, I've always thought all window, I thought we were going to sign 2 players, and I thought there'd be a series of loans. Nothing has changed in that. It's just, there's been a big panic sort of in between. But there is room for this. We're not in a position where it's going to be the same 11 every game. It just ain't going to be so. And it might be, you might well find, look at the Fornals and look at the Benrahma situation. Sometimes Benrahma's left, sometimes Fornals is left. I think you may well find that sometimes, actually, your first forwards is going to be Vlasic. I'm talking about if Antonio's out here. It might even be Benrahma. It might be Bowen. But there is an interchange of positions. And we're seeing this in the way we play. And in the few games that we've seen, the 3 games that we've seen in the Premier League this season when West Ham have played, many occasions, Antonio has pulled out wide and a void has been filled by someone else. Fornals got a couple of goals already. Benrahma's got in there. Bowen gets in there. A few occasions, actually, Antonio's dropped into the middle, dropped really, really deep, and the runners run past him. And again, it's those same players that I've mentioned. And I just feel like, you know what, we're all passengers in this, in the Moyes bus, put it that way. He's driving a bus and we're all passengers. He's Commando driving a bus. And I think, you know what, I trust him now. In as much as I'm not panicking, and I think there's an inclination to think that not that you know more, but you want to say, hold on, we should have strikers and we should be doing this and we should be playing this way. And so in terms of the bus analogy, you sort of try to get to the front of the bus and take the wheel off David Moyes and say, no, you want to steer this way, mate. Actually, I've got to the point now where I'm a little bit more, I'm happy to be a passenger. I'm happy to sit at the back of the bus. Is it still cool to sit on the back of the bus? It used to be, didn't it? I don't care. I'm not cool. I'll sit anywhere on the bus. I'm just happy to be on the bus. I'm happy to be a passenger. I'm pleased we're not parking the bus too much, although with all the goals we do concede, I think we perhaps need to park the bus a little more. Maybe the Zuma transfer will do that. But my point is, long drawn out waffling point about buses and wearing no underwear. is really that if this is Moyes' vision, that it's going to be an interchange of players. If Moyes' vision is that he feels he doesn't need a striker and some other players can fill the void, for me at least, he's earned that trust. He really has. He's earned it from me not to be overly critical of him and think, okay, well, let's see what he's going to do. That doesn't mean on a match-by-match basis you're not going to get frustrated if he does make a substitution or makes wrong substitution, doesn't make a substitution. But my main thing at the start of the season was very much, can we improve the team on last season? And I don't want to discount the significance of keeping Declan Rice. Again, the transfer window is still alive and kicking, as I've said already twice in this video. I might finish recording this and refresh my phone and find out Declan Rice is subject to a £90 million bid from Chelsea or something. We hope not. But actually, the significance of us bidding and actually buying players, and if it turns out we buy Zuma for 25 million, we buy Vlasic for 30 million or whatever, and we have actually spent, or whatever, if it ends up we've spent 55 million or something like that and kept Declan Rice and bring a couple of loans in, we've improved the team. I don't care what anyone says about that. I don't know if Aston Villa have improved their team. The loss of Jack Grealish is massive. Are the ones coming in not only going to be able to offset the loss of Jack Grealish, but they've got to be better, haven't they? That's the point. Is your team better? So Bailey and Buendia coming in, by their combined goals, tally and assists, have got to do better than Jack Grealish did last season. And I would say exactly the same with Southampton, who again were praised for bringing in a player in Armstrong. You look at it now, well, Armstrong's, the combined players coming in for Southampton, actually they lost the centre-back as well, didn't they? Have they improved? Southampton improved in last season? You have to say no. It's a hell of a thing. And I think we have lost a player, by the way, and it's Jesse Lingard. So for us to have status quo last season, we'd have to have Jesse Lingard back in. Well, you know what? If we get Jesse Lingard back in, and what we've added is massive competition for the goalkeeper, a centre-back has improved it and goes straight into the first team, and also you're bringing in another attacking midfielder in Vlasic, who is the right age profile. As I say, he's not the 28-year-old Morales, he's 23 years of age. Then the squad has improved. The team has improved. It's as simple as that. Anything else beyond that is just imagining a scenario and extrapolating forward by saying, oh, well, it might not be as good because if Mikel Antonio gets injured, then... It's not just Mikel Antonio getting injured, by the way. That's not the thing. It's actually, you've got to imagine that Mikel Antonio gets injured and we lose a series of games. Then and only then you might say, well, hold on a second, losing our striker, it's not worked. But I think you've got to allow David Moyes that, where actually if David Moyes has a contingency, which is if whatever gets injured, and Antonio goes, plays for Jamaica, gets injured, and his contingency plan doesn't work, and his contingency plan may well be Vlasic, it may well be Bowen, it may well be Lingard, then does it actually matter that we've not signed a striker? I would say this much. If actually our form continues and we stay... I thought we'd finish top 10 this season, but let's say we are top 7, top 6, top 7. I mean, that'd be magnificent to do that with the European campaign, because let's not forget, most teams that play a European campaign, their form completely dips in the league. Obviously, we've not started playing European games yet, have we? But so we don't know what the impact of that would be. But my point is, if we do lose Antonio for a couple of games, a month, or whatever it may be, and whoever comes in, our form continues, does it really matter that we've not signed a striker?